Don't buy a survival kit. It'll get you killed. Hello, I am coming to you from a quiet suburb of Chicago.
Big noise blew in from Winnetka.
There are dozens of Altoid can or tin style survival kits and bigger ones. These kits are a waste of money and are useless. Don't buy them. Understand what is required for survival and build a kit around that. It will be more effective. The purpose of a survival kit is to help you extract yourself or help you get found. Now, the kit must be tailored for the activity and season. There's no one size fit all, even for the same activity. A survival kit for the summer will not be the same as one for the winter. Now, we distinguish between a survival kit that you have to carry on your body and one that you do not. So, for example, if you're in a car, a canoe, a boat, a bicycle, you don't have to carry that on your body. But if you're hiking, you're going to have to carry it. So in this video, we're going to focus on the hiking survival kit, the one you're going to carry on your body. Now, there are 3 variations of a hiking survival kit. One for winter, one for summer, and one for the shoulder seasons. Now, in practice, it really comes down to winter and summer. And most of the kit is going to be the same for all seasons except your sleep system. So we'll get to that. Now, what is needed for survival? You have to understand this before go off and building a kit. And what you need to survive are just 2 things. 2 immediate things. You need hydration and you need sleep. So a survival kit must keep you hydrated and must keep you well slept. Everything in the survival kit, 80% of your survival kit has to support those 2 functions. If the kit doesn't support those 2 functions, it's not going to help you survive. Food is not essential for survival, for immediate survival. You can survive for weeks without food, but you cannot survive without water or sleep for more than 3 days. So I emphasize, your kit must allow you to drink water safely and to sleep at least 4 hours of REM sleep a night. That's the minimum you need. So let's talk about what we have to do to ensure that we get those 2 functions from a kit. All commercially sold survival kits are woefully inadequate for supporting hydration and sleep. Now, the contents of these kits usually includes the following. Let me read from the list. Now, these kits usually have like a button compass, cordage, an emergency blanket, a fire starter, a fishing kit, a flashlight, a knife, a multi-tool, a razor blade, a small ferro rod, a small Thigner mirror, a snare wire, a survival card, a whistle, a wire saw, some combinations of these. Not all of these most of the time, these small Altoid style tin can survival kits. Now, what you see on the example, what you're seeing on the screen is a representative example. Notice it has nothing for water, nothing to purify water with, nothing to carry water in. And for sleep, it has this emergency space blanket, which is utterly useless to keep you warm. Space blankets are not survival blankets. They will not keep you warm overnight. They'll do the opposite, actually, because the space blanket works by trapping air around your body. So the way to use it is to get it as close to your body as possible without touching your body. Once it touches your body, you're going to lose heat through conduction. So space blankets are not survival blankets. Now, some of these things in the kit you see on the screen are essential items, but inadequate. And there are things in there that are just useless. For example, a snare wire. How many people do you think know how to snare animals and process the animals or dress the animals for safe eating? Maybe 0.1%, 1% of the population. There's usually a fishing kit also involved. You know, a lot of people know how to fish, but is that really what you need in a situation where you're trying to get yourself found or you're trying to walk to safety? You know, it takes time to fish. It takes time to snare. It takes time to dress the animal for safe eating once you've caught it. That time is better spent walking to safety or getting yourself found. So these items included in the survival kit, like fishing kits, snare wire, you know, play on the romantic notion of, oh, I'm going to go into the forest and live off the land. It's not that easy. It requires a lot of practice. And the time in a survival situation where, you know, you're lost or you have to spend the night overnight, the time is better used to find yourself out of your predicament, to make sure you're well hydrated, you're well slept, and using the time instead of searching for food, trying to extract yourself or getting yourself found by a search party, a rescue party. Again, food is not necessary for immediate survival. You can survive for 3 days without, for 3 weeks without food. So you need to get yourself found or extracted in a survival situation. A survival kit is a subset of your overnight camping kit. Because think about it, your overnight camping kit provides shelter and probably a way of purifying water if you're spending more than one night out there where you have to gather your water. So if you're a camper and you've camped overnight, you already have a survival kit. It's just your camping kit. If you're never camped overnight and you're looking to build a survival kit because you're going out camping, you're just starting in that hobby, then watch this video and you'll see what you have to include. If you are a camper and have a kit, watch this video because I'll show you some things to include that you may not have thought of. Now, there are 5 components of a survival kit or overnight camping trip. There's hydration, sleep, essentials, excuse me, first aid, and other or optional items. So let's first talk about hydration. Now, you need water to survive. You can't survive without water for more than 3 days. So let's assume that you're going to be lost for more than 1, 2, or 3 days. So you need to drink water, but drink it safely. So now usually you can find water wherever you are. But the trick is you have to make sure it's safe to drink. Now there's 4 ways for hikers, there's 4 ways to make sure water is safe to drink. You can boil, you can filter, you can chemically treat it, or you can treat it with ultraviolet light. Now for your survival kit, your overnight camping trip, camping kit I should say, the best ways are boiling, ultraviolet light, or chemical treatment. Filtering, such as a Sawyer hollow fiber filter or Be-Free and other such hollow fiber filters, or carbon filters and such, can be bulky and weighty, and for hollow fiber filters, temperature sensitive. If a hollow fiber filter is frozen, it's dead, so you can't use it anymore, and it's not safe to use it anymore, so you shouldn't. So you have to keep it from freezing. So for me, I only use hollow fiber filters in the summer or the shoulder seasons where I know it's not going to get below freezing. In the winter, I'm using ultraviolet treatment primarily because that's my favorite. But for survival, where you're going to be put in an unexpected situation, the chemical pills, and I'll show this in the screen right now, are the best because they don't expire, they're small. You can get 25 liters of water from just these 2 small bottles. And the ultraviolet, it's also very effective. And like here's a SteriPen I'm showing on the screen. You can use that. The thing with ultraviolet is the water has to be clear, it can't be turbid. But you always have to pre-filter water when you're getting water from natural sources. So that's going to happen anyway. The other method of boiling filtering is boiling. So, and that's a very effective method. Boil the water, a rolling boil for about a minute, and everything is killed. So it's safe to drink. You want to pre-filter it through like a cotton bandana to take out all the floating stuff, and then boil it, and then you're fine. The only exception I'll make for filtering is the Grail filter. That's Grayl. Here's a picture. That's very effective, and it's not affected by temperature. So I would use that. I would consider that in my kit. For normal hiking, I don't use that because it weighs too much. But for a survival situation, it works just great. For boiling, you need a metal container to boil the water in. So get yourself a single-sided metal canteen, like the Clean Canteen, or a large pot, say a liter, where you can boil the water in. So after it's boiled, you just pour it into another container that you have. For those containers, the lightest thing you can use is the squeeze pouches from the Sawyer filter. These weigh only 0.8 ounces each. I'll show you a picture on the screen. And they hold 1 liter of water. This is your carrying capacity. This is what you carry water in after you've filtered it. And you can't beat the weight for these guys. They're the lightest thing I found for carrying water per liter. Now, if you're going to boil water, you need a way to start a fire. So you need 3 methods of starting a fire. And those would be a ferro rod, matches, and a Bic lighter. Make sure you always have those in your kit. Now, to start a fire, you'll need wood, of course. Now, you can usually find small branches, and you can break them off with your hands. Remember, they have to be dry. But I would also carry a small folding saw, like the Bako Laplander you see, and a small knife, a full-tang knife, because those have many other uses, aside from purifying water. When we get to the shelter system, you'll see fire also plays a big role in keeping you alive, keeping you warm. Now, something you may not have thought of in the hydration area is put 7 bouillon cubes, beef or chicken, into your pack and wrap them up in aluminum foil. And so what you can do is throw 1 bouillon cube each day into hot water at the beginning of the day and drink it, a liter of water. Or drink it not all at once, but within the first hour or so to hydrate yourself. And the bouillon has your electrolytes. It'll replenish your electrolytes, which are very important. And it's tasty, chicken or beef. And actually, if you know how to forage, you can get some things and throw it in there and you have a nice vegetable soup for breakfast. So 7 bouillon cubes as part of your hydration kit. Now, one last point about water and survival. If you are in a survival situation and you're dehydrated, but you have no way of filtering or purifying water, but there is a water source in front of you, like a lake, a stream, a creek, a river, go ahead and drink the water. It's not going to kill you. You may get a parasitic infection, but you can easily treat that when you get back to civilization after you're found. So you can survive a parasite in your stomach. It's just antibiotics to get rid of it. It's usually Giardia and such. But you cannot survive without water for 3 days. So if you cannot purify water and you're dehydrated, go ahead and drink the water that you found. Make sure it's not sewage water, of course, but any creek, lake, river, stream is in North America and Europe is safe to drink because it will not have viral pathogens, no viruses. It's not true in third world countries, but in North America it is. So to survive, just don't worry about the parasitic infections. Go ahead and drink the water, and when you get back into civilization, you'll get that taken care of. Okay, let's talk about the other big component of your survival kit, and that's sleep. Now you need sleep. You need 4 hours of REM sleep every night. Otherwise, after the third day, you're just going to not function well. So what is required for sleeping? You need cover, warmth, and insulation. Or to put it another way, you need something to sleep on, something to sleep in, and something to sleep under. Now warmth is achieved first and foremost by the clothes you're wearing. You have to wear what's appropriate for the temperature and weather conditions you're hiking in, and especially the overnight weather conditions. So you have to check the forecast and say, what happens if I can't get back and I spend the night outdoors? So what will the temperature be for that area that night? And dress accordingly. That's your first layer of defense for keeping warm. In the winter and shoulder seasons, you'll need wool hats and gloves. Because when you sleep, you'll need to cover your head with something to keep you warm. Now, you can also stay warm by building a fire. And that's where the knife and saw come in, because you'll need a larger fire to stay warm. So you can process a lot of wood with just a small folding saw and a knife. And you can have wood to last for hours. You don't need an axe, just a saw will do. And you'll just saw smaller pieces of wood. They're about this size. Now, like I said, building a fire requires a way to start a fire, and we talked about that. You should carry ferro rod, matches, and a big lighter, and also a folding saw and a knife. Your fire kit must also include a fire extender, so you can light fire in very wet conditions. And the best thing for this are the small tea candles you can buy. They're light, they last a long time, and they can help you build a fire in wet conditions. They can also help you get warm in an emergency situation. If you have a contracted garbage bag in your kit, and you should, we'll go down the list later in this video, what you should have in your kit. You can put the garbage bag around you, wear it kind of like a rain poncho, and sit down and light the candle and put the bag over the candle, and the heat will be trapped. So you get a body of warm air around you, and it'll warm you up in an emergency situation. So the tea candles have dual uses. Now let's talk about the other way to get warm, which is cover, and you'll need, or something to sleep in, I should say. You'll need to bring whatever you usually use that's appropriate for the season and temperature. And that is your sleeping bag, your quilt, or a light blanket if it's in the summer. But that's your cover. That's something you sleep in. For insulation, you'll need a sleeping pad. And again, bring the one you usually use whenever you go camping. And for the season, for the summer, you'll need a sleeping bag with a R value of 1, because it's not that cold. For winter season, you need a sleeping bag or sleeping pad with an R value of 4 or above. So make sure you have the appropriate pad for the temperature. And for cover, that's something to sleep under, I don't recommend a tarp because in the summer it can't protect you from the mosquitoes and critters. The tent for all seasons is the best option. So bring your, whatever tent you use when you go overnight camping for cover. It'll protect you from wind, rain, snow, and critters, especially mosquitoes in the summer. The mosquitoes will actually drive you crazy. You need to be in an enclosed shelter to get away from them. Now, depending on the season, you can alter your sleep systems. And that's the only thing about your survival kit that's going to alter. It's really your sleep system and your shelter. Because you don't need, for summer, you don't need the gear that you need for winter. So you can swap it out. And for the shoulder seasons, again, depending on the temperature, you're going to always check the forecast whenever you go on a day hike or overnight hike, because you got to be prepared for the conditions. You must never go in blind. So always bring a tent. Just don't bother with a tarp. Now the other thing is for winter especially, and for bitter cold conditions, I would highly recommend you bring a Morse Kohansky super shelter, because it's a type of shelter that maintains the temperature inside the shelter 75 degrees or above, while the outside temperature is 20, 10 or less degrees Fahrenheit. And it does that by having a fire in front of the shelter. So I did a video just last week or a couple of weeks ago. I'll put the link in the description, you can see it, about how to make your own super shelter. It's very easy, it costs like 30, 40 bucks, and it only weighs 21 ounces. It's ultra light. So consider for winter survivor kit, packing that in instead of your usual tent, summer tent or 3-season tent. That's not really appropriate for winter. Okay, let's talk about essential gear. Now this is gear that you always carry with you all year, regardless of the season. Now, here's a list on the screen, and let me just read through and you can follow along. Now quickly, we got 2 orange balloons, an orange bandana, a bug net, a bug repellent, compass, contractor garbage bag, dental floss, duct tape, a fire kit, headlamp, knife, a small Swiss Army knife for backup, paracord, your phone, rubber bands, signal mirror, a folding saw, and a Tyvek disposable coveralls, and a whistle. Now let's talk about some of these things. Now these are the things you always carry, but there are some in here that are a bit different, so let's talk about them. Now, if you're lost, remember the object is to extricate yourself or to get yourself found. So, like the Ring of Power in The Lord of the Rings, you want to be found, but preferably not by Sauron. Now there's 2 ways to alert people of your location, by sight or by sound. If you're in an area, open area with clear views, like a desert, sight is a very good way to alert people of where you are. You can use your signal mirror to alert people where you are, or you can use the 2 orange balloons. Inflate them, tie them to a piece of dental floss, maybe 10 feet, 12 feet long, tie the other end to something on the ground like a rock or a tree, and then let the balloon float up into the air. And they'll easily be seen by rescue parties because it's orange, it's from a distance. The other way to notify rescuers of your location, if you're not in an area with clear unobstructed views like you're in a forest, is by sound. And that's what your whistle comes in for. You blow 6 short beeps of your whistle every minute, and then you wait a minute, and then you do it again. If somebody has found you, they're going to answer by blowing 3 short beeps of their whistle. So that way you'll know you're found. And then you just keep blowing your whistle until they reach you. The contractor garbage bag has many uses. It can be used as insulation. You can stuff it with dry material like leaves or grass and lay on it. It can be used for cover. It can be used as a ground sheet. It can be used for rain gear. Very useful. Just put one, maybe even two in your kit. Paracord is essential, and you should always have it with you because it has many, many uses. So you can build shelters, you can repair things, you can take the strands out and use the inner strands for floss, for fishing line, etc. But also you should have a section of 3 feet of paracord already prepared with a Canadian jam knot so that you can use that as an emergency tourniquet. So, and speaking of knots, you should learn the 5 essential knots: bowline, Canadian jam knot, prusik, a sheet bend, and taut line hitch. These are very useful knots. They're very easy, and it'll help you a lot if you're in a pinch. Now, the Tyvek coveralls is a wonderful piece of kit that has so many uses. First, it's your rain gear because it's waterproof. Second, it's your emergency pajamas that can give you an extra layer of warmth. Third, it's your ground sheet. You can throw it on the ground and sit on it. And fourth, it's your windbreaker. These things are really cheap, around $18. They're very tough, and they're just worth the price. So there's a link in the description of a video I did on Tyvek coveralls. You can go see that. But you can buy these at any Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. So get yourself Tyvek coveralls, and one size larger than your size, so that because you have to wear it over your clothes if you have to put them on. Okay, now let's talk about the first aid kit. Here on the screen are the essentials you should carry in your first aid kit. Let's go through them quickly. Antidiarrheal, antihistamine, antiseptic towelettes, aspirin, Band-Aids, bleed stop, ibuprofen, laxative, moleskin, safety pins, and a sewing needle, a large sewing needle. And you can use the dental floss or the inner strands of a paracord for your thread in case you have to sew something. Now, the bleed stop is something I think you should carry. This is not for a major artery break. This is just for very bad bleeding that you have to control. So carry 1 or 2 of these. They're very light. And you can just put them on where it's bleeding, and it'll clot the blood. It's a blood clotting agent. Bleeding is something that is very critical. You have to control it. So this is one way, aside from a tourniquet. If the bleeding isn't in the major artery, then you can use this to stop the bleeding. If it's a major artery, you have to use a tourniquet, of course. Now, the optional items, the 5th component of our kit, is something specific to you. For example, if you're allergic to bee stings, you need your epinephrine pen. I would include in that a satellite locator beacon, emergency beacon. It's highly recommended, so I would get one of those if you want. One thing I would put in there is Wizzy wipes. These are compressed towels. They're not necessary really, but it makes things easier if you know what I mean. They can be used as toilet paper, or they can be used as just towels to clean up things, and they weigh nothing. They're just like 1.5 grams per towel. So you can carry a whole bunch of them for no weight penalty. Your survival kit is just your regular camping kit. Don't go spending money on a completely separate kit, because it'll just sit there and not be used. Use the gear you take out camping all the time. You'll be used to it, you'll be familiar with it, you'll know it'll work, you know how to set it up in a pinch. Okay, here's my survival kit. This is just my everyday camping backpack. And in here is all the gear I talked about. So as Steve 1989 MRE Info likes to say, all right, let's get this kit out on the table. Nice. Here is the minimal survival gear all laid out on the table. And let's go look at it. Here's the hydration portion. There's 2 metal canteens, 1 canteen, 1 cup. Here's the ultraviolet purifier, the Sterapen. The Sawyer squeeze bottles for carrying your water. Boy, it's very windy here today. Here are the 7 tea candles. The water purification tablets that you see right here. You can buy these at Walmart. In here I have 7 bouillon cubes. Here we have the essentials. Ferro rod, lighter, matches, small Swiss Army knife, contractor garbage bag with rubber bands around it, paracord, base plate compass, headlight with batteries, bug net, folding saw, knife, bug spray, orange bandana, duct tape, this goes here, your Tyvek coveralls, and the Wizzy wipes. Here we have our first aid section. We have first aid in these 2 Altoid cans. We have the bleed stop that I was talking about. We have the tourniquet with the Canadian jam knot already in there. Okay, and we have some hand sanitizer. Here are the balloons, by the way, in the essential kits that I was talking about. And for shelter, I have my summer sleeping pad. This is like R1. And I have my winter sleeping pad. This is R4. I have my 3-season tent, my Z-Pax duplex. This is 21 ounces. And I have my super shelter, Morse Kohansky super shelter for winter. This is also 21 ounces. And I have a video on this that I can put in the description. Go see how you can make it. Very easy to make. Only thing I don't have here is my quilts. I just didn't bring them, but you would bring a quilt appropriate for the temperature. So there you have it, folks. Your survival kit is just your camping kit. It's not any different. So if you have a camping kit already, you have most of your survival kit, just use that. Just add some of the things I've suggested here that you may not have thought of. If you don't have a camping kit, build a camping kit. Don't build a survival kit. So go buy gear that you're going to camp with. So don't spend money on a separate survival kit. So thanks for being with me. Guys, I hope this was helpful. Please share, like, and subscribe, and see you next time.